And people reached out to me and they said, you know what, I don't even want to win a prize, but seeing what you guys are doing and the simplified messages that you are sharing with each other on this platform, and obviously winning prizes, we all love winning prizes, and that actually help people, you know, do the right thing and get vaccinated.
That's wonderful. Flavia, let me come to you. You know, how important do you think it is, the role of, you know, traditional media in spreading, you know, COVID information and also addressing vaccine hesitancy? Can you tell me on the ground what you all are doing and what that means?
Okay. Helen, first of all, you know that we are in the era of the disinformation and misinformation, whereby the only source of trustable information that can really be trusted for one to make a choice to do something or not, is traditional media. Here, when they see something on social media, they have to wait for the TV news, they have to wait for the radio news later on to verify if the information that has been released is really true. So I think traditional media still has that role, and it's the media that is the main source of information. Here in Uganda, radio is the biggest source of information, and recent studies have been done with COVID-19 still. Several researchers have come out to check how they can effectively deliver their messages, and radio still is the highest, followed by TV. And when statements are released, of course, the Ministry of Health here and other health organizations have social media pages, they have websites and all, but still people refer to traditional media, to radio, to TV, to get the information that they need, to know that this is verified information, this is information I can trust.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, recently the newly discovered COVID variant, which is the Omicron, initially was discovered in South Africa. But as you know, when the information first came out, it sounded like, oh, it's the actual variant is in Africa, in South Africa. And there was a lot of misinformation about it in the mainstream Western media. And I think and just, as a journalist for yourself and myself, I think, our roles is even more significant in this way as African journalists. And tell me the kind of role that you think we should play whenever we see disinformation like this.
I think our role is giving information and continuing to give verified information that they can trust. How do we do this? In my newsroom, we've started what they call fact checking, whereby we have fact checkers. When information comes out, we have to verify that this is true. As you know, the Omicron variant, there is just so much that we can give at the moment. Even the World Health Organization is saying that we will wait for information in the coming days and all that. So I think as the traditional media, what our role can be is giving what we so far know, and we should really sieve on the sources of information that we get. We have to think deeply about who to ask what questions, because a lot of people will be available to say something, but what are they saying is the issue. So we have to be very careful with the sources that we pick on. I think it's time for us to do a lot of research, and this is what we are doing really. And if you ask me about how our coverage has been so far, we know that this variant being sequenced in South Africa and being identified there doesn't mean that it was initially circulating there. It might have circulated in other countries, and that information is slowly coming out. So I think we shouldn't, as journalists, we shouldn't be alarmist. We should be keen on what information we release and who gives us that information.
That's true. Jolene, I guess as a social media influencer, can you tell me what are some of the challenges and what are some of the things that you're hearing when you're sharing information about COVID vaccine? What are some of the rumors and conspiracy theories that people throw out at you, and how are you helping combat them?
I think the things that I've heard personally when I started out with the campaign, the things that was personally said to me was that I am working with Bill Gates and the World Health Organization and it's a conspiracy. But then after a while, people who continue to follow me realize, no, but this is just an ordinary citizen who are just trying to help bring some form of normality. So I think having that human element to help people get vaccinated, it's extremely important. Where we have everyday citizens actually spreading the word and telling people why it's important to get vaccinated. I mean, people don't trust government officials and they don't trust the pharma industry, and we can't be dismissive of their feelings either. And so what people need, people actually need to say, no, but there's actually humans, real humans behind this campaign as well. And I also think it's important for government and communication institutions to infiltrate the very same spaces that are littered with misinformation, like Facebook and WhatsApp and YouTube. I mean, so much effort goes into anti-vax videos and chain messages. And I think government should use the same method, and they should infiltrate those spaces too and counter all those messages with facts. But most importantly, they should simplify those messages so that each and everyone on the street can actually understand, because people don't understand the political and the medical jargon. So it needs to be simplified so that everyone can understand. And I mean, nobody wants to sit through a 3-hour press briefing and listen to a minister speak. People have things to do. People have lost their families. People have lost their lives, so they don't have time to sit through a press briefing. So other ways of getting the message across and simplifying that message is extremely important. I also think that a blanket approach is also not the way to go, because some things might work in one city, but it's not going to work in a different country. So I think there should be ways and means to get the message across that would suit that certain country or a certain city, because the dynamics on the ground are way different. I mean, we can sit in boardrooms and we can make decisions, but will all those decisions work in all those communities? No, it won't work, because we are dealing with different people from different backgrounds and people who face different situations. If I may, I'd just like to make an example. There's an area called the Cape Flats in South Africa, and it's known for gang violence, and people die on the Cape Flats every day, and they die by murder, by gun violence. And people in those areas have seen and experienced the worst that life has to offer. Do you really think that they would be afraid of an invisible virus when they witness murder every day? A virus is not going to scare them because they can't see it, but they see and experience violence on an everyday basis. So we need to cater to that community as well and have a specialized way of getting the message across to them so that they can also understand what we are going through. Thank you.
And it's so critical. I think some of the challenges that I had on my program when I was inviting these physicians and scientists and all of that is we've got to make the conversation that we're having on this table relatable to the everyday average Ethiopian on the street. And that is a big challenge because there's a lot of medical terms and, you know, physicians and, you know, researchers are used to talking a certain way. But, you know, for us, our audience is very, very diverse. There is no one size fits all kind of, you know, in the US and the West, you know, everybody working in front of them. So we have to be extremely cautious how we deliver the information. We have to make it relatable to the everyday people and simplify it, as you said. So that I totally agree with that. There is a correction. You are right, Numan. You said the Omicron virus was initially identified in South Africa, not discovered, and we take that correction. And then Simon also says effective social engagement with all relevant stakeholders, including the press briefing and honest discussion about COVID-19 and its side effects remains crucial in addressing vaccine hesitancy. 100%. You are absolutely right. Flavia, let me come to you. So what should, you know, traditional media do in your view, you know, moving forward? How should the messaging be from a traditional media standpoint. We know we've heard from Jolene on how, influencers and social media is able to try to dispel some of this misinformation, but traditional media moving forward, what should they be doing in your view?
Moving forward, I think, like I had initially said, verification of information is very important.
Right.
But still also, like you said on your show, there is a lot of, you've called a lot for simplifying of the message. And I still think that's very important. And back here, we had, before COVID-19, doctors were kind of media shy in this country. It would be really problematic to invite a doctor for a show, but now they are learning on the job. They are learning with this pandemic that there is no way they can run away from the media. So I think journalists should continue being able to verify information, media literacy, being able to know that what I'm putting out is going to affect as many people as possible. And I have to be responsible, not carrying everything you hear about and then publish it. I know with media, there is that urgency and news being new. You have to be the first to break the story. But I think for science, that doesn't work that much. You'd better do it later, but do it better. Because it's a matter of life and death when you talk about COVID-19 and other health-related issues. So the role of the media should be that traditional role, even with the pressure that is caused by social media, that we can no longer break news. That has been partly taken away from us, but not the factual information. That hasn't been taken away from us. So verification is what I can keep repeating, because that's what will set us apart from what is on social media and this infodemic problem.
Good answer. So, okay. This is now all great discussion. We're going to go to a Q&A, and one of the questions that were asked, and I think it's an important question, how do we respond to anti-vaxxers who feel the Omicron and breakthrough infections happen irrespective of being vaccinated, and therefore is a personal choice to be vaccinated or not vaccinated? What do you say to that, Jolene, if that comes across to you, people that are anti-vaxxers and they're going to say, what's the point? Because every variant is going to come from now on.
To that question, I would say once again that education and simplified messages is again the issue, because the anti-vax group doesn't understand, and people in general, people who are not knowledgeable on COVID-19 and how it mutates. Again, people don't understand that people who are not getting vaccinated would obviously be the cause of more mutations. And I think once people understand that, then they would understand the importance of getting vaccinated, because people would think, oh no, it's the vaccine is the issue, or it's a conspiracy, when the actual fact is it's people who are not getting vaccinated who are actually the cause that we are dealing with mutations upon mutations. So I think again we should also be like education, I think is the most important thing. We can run as many campaigns and initiatives as much as we want, but once people, as long as people are not educated and they don't understand what's actually happening and how mutations take place, then it's all going to be fruitless. But people need to understand, and there's a level of education that needs to happen so that people understand how the virus mutates.
Yeah, and and like you say, vaccinated people do get COVID. We've seen this. It's just the severity of it, based on all the information that we've seen. It's just like you said, explaining to these people, why should I get vaccinated? Because the vaccinated people already get it. It's a matter of really educating people what this means and what this means to them if they're not vaccinated and they get it versus vaccinated and they get it. So that's, it's a battle, but it needs